The spring of 1892 in the Ozark Highlands of northwest Arkansas was, in the judgment of every old farmer who lived through it, an ordinary spring in weather and a very hard spring in law. Federal revenue enforcement against unlicensed distillers, which had been intermittent since the close of the war, intensified sharply in the three counties of Madison, Washington, and Carroll. Beginning in the January of 1892, following the appointment of a new supervisor for the 5th District out of Fort Smith. Between January and November of that year, 47 men were arrested for operating stills in the three counties. Of these, 4 were shot in the act of resisting arrest, 2 of them fatally. 39 were tried and convicted at Fort Smith, and 8, including Caleb Whitaker, posted bond and went home to work the spring planting before their trials. The story that follows is the story of one family, in one cove, in one of those 8 households. It is not the story the travel writers of the 1890s told. It is a quieter story, and a smaller one, and, because it was written down in letters by 2 sisters who loved each other, it is, in the modest way such things are, a complete one. The narrator will read the letters in the order in which they were written, without abridgment except for the occasional address and postscript, omitted for brevity. The 15 letters that follow were preserved, for 134 years, in a cedar chest in the house of Mrs. Della Whitaker Croft at 4417 South College Avenue in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Della Croft kept every letter her younger sister Edna May Whitaker wrote her between the autumn of 1879, when Edna May married Caleb Whitaker and moved to the cabin at Stone Hollow in Madison County, in the spring of 1923, when Edna May died at the age of 65. The 15 letters reproduced here, together with the 8 letters Della wrote back during the same month period, were kept by Della in a separate bundle tied with a black silk ribbon and, labeled in her hand, on a folded sheet of newsprint wrapped around the bundle, the revenue year, March-November 1892, Edna May and me. The bundle passed to Della's daughter Mattie Croft Latham in 1931, to Mattie's daughter Opal Latham Barkley in 1974, and to Opal's granddaughter Della Jane Barkley Morrissey, aged 47, of Fort Smith, who donated the letters to the University of Arkansas Special Collections Library in the October of 2024, with the request that they be read aloud once a year at a public reading in the spring, which request the library has honored. I am writing this by the light of the kitchen lamp at 11 o'clock at night, with Nathaniel and Sarah Ann asleep in the loft, and with the supper dishes not yet washed because I do not think I can sleep until I have written it down. The revenue men came at supper time. They came in 2 wagons from Huntsville with Deputy Marshal Jacob Herndon and 4 men whose names I did not catch. They had a warrant from the United States District Court at Fort Smith. They went first to the still shed behind the spring house, and they broke the copper with axes in 11 minutes. They then came to the cabin. Caleb was at the table with the children and me. He stood up. He said, "Gentlemen, my wife and my children have no part in this. Let me walk out with you quiet." They permitted him this. They did not chain him in the yard. They put him in the back of the first wagon, with a single rope around his wrists, and they drove him toward Huntsville, where he will be kept overnight and then sent on to Fort Smith to answer. Deputy Herndon, who was civil, said he will be arraigned at Fort Smith before Judge Isaac Parker on the 18th or the 19th. He said if we can raise the $200 bond, Caleb can come home to wait for trial. Otherwise, he stays until September when the court sits again. We cannot raise $200, Della. You know we cannot. I have $12.14 in the coffee tin. Write back what you can. Tell no one in town if you can help it. Pray for us. Your letter of the 14th reached me this morning. I sat at the shop counter, and I wept for 3 minutes, and then I wiped my eyes, and I walked down to the Arkansas Valley Bank on Dixon Street. I have drawn, against the savings I had set aside for the shop expansion I was planning for the fall, $140. I am putting it in this envelope in 5 $20 gold pieces and 4 $10 notes. Do not protest. The shop will wait a year. Caleb cannot. I am writing also to our brother Ezra at Cane Hill. I am asking him for the other 60. He will send it within the week if he has it, which I believe he does, because he sold the yearling steers last month. You will have the full $200 by the 22nd at latest. Ride to Huntsville with it. Ask Mr. Mitchum at the courthouse how to post bond to Fort Smith. Mr. Mitchum is an honest man. He knew our father. If the bond posts, Caleb will be home by the 1st of April. Do not despair, little sister. I have seen harder than this. I am sending love and the money. Write the day the money arrives. Your letter with the $140 came Saturday. Ezra's letter with 60 came Sunday morning. I counted the money on the kitchen table at 4 in the afternoon. It made a small pile. It did not look like $200. It looked like 1 year of the shop you were not going to expand. I cried a little. Nathaniel, who is 8, came in and asked what was the matter, and I told him plainly, "Your Aunt Della and your Uncle Ezra have sent money to bring Papa home." Nathaniel sat at the table and looked at the money for a long time. He said, "Mama, when I am grown I will pay Aunt Della and Uncle Ezra back." I said, "Son, they do not require it." He said, "I do. I leave for Huntsville tomorrow at 4 in the morning. Mr. Orrin Pettigrew, neighbor at the mouth of the hollow, is driving me in his wagon and will wait with the children at his cabin. I will ride on to Fort Smith on the train from Huntsville on Wednesday. I will post the bond Thursday. Caleb should be home Friday night if all goes as Mr. Mitchum describes. I will write when I know. I love you, Della. I will sign the note to Ezra tonight. I am sending love also to Maddie and to the children. Your Edna May." I am writing from the writing desk of the main hotel on Garrison Avenue in Fort Smith at 10:15 at night. The bond posted at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Caleb was released from the federal jail at 5:15. He walked through the jail door into the reception hall, and he saw me sitting on the wooden bench, and he stopped, and he did not come forward for perhaps a full minute, because, as he told me later, he did not believe the money was real until he saw my face. He has lost 9 pounds in 10 days. He is clean-shaven, because the jailer required it for reasons of lice. He has not wept in my sight since our baby Ruth died in 1888. He wept in the hotel room when we were alone at 7 o'clock. He said, "Edna May, I have been a fool. I will not run a still again in this life. I will not take the children's school money on another man's gamble. I give you my word." I said, "Caleb, I do not need a word tonight. Tonight I only need you to eat a supper." He ate the supper. I am writing this while he sleeps. We take the Frisco train home at 6 in the morning. We will be in Huntsville by 3. Mr. Pettigrew will meet us. The children will see their father tomorrow night. Della, I owe you a year of shop profits. I owe Ezra a calf crop. I will work the debt off if it takes me the rest of my life. Your grateful Edna May, my own Edna May. You owe me nothing. You owe Ezra nothing. What a sister has is held in trust, and when it is needed, it is used, and that is the full length and breadth of the ledger. Please tell Caleb, with my love, that I am not a woman who requires an apology from a man who has been punished once by the court. He has been punished. That is sufficient. Our family has had men who did worse and who were forgiven more cheaply. Write me what the trial will require. I will come to Fort Smith for the trial if you wish. I can close the shop for a week in September. Do not face the trial alone. Tell Caleb I am proud of the word he gave you in the hotel room, and tell him I will hold him to it only in the sense that every woman in his family will hold him to it, which is to say, gently and without lecturing. Love, Della. I am the worst letter writer of the 4 of us, and you know it. Della has told me the bond went through and Caleb is home. I wept at the barn door when the telegram came, not because the money was a sacrifice. It was not. The Steers paid for it, and I have 4 more that will pay for a wedding dress for your Sarah Ann when the time comes. But because I could hear, in the way Della read the telegram over the wire, that you were all going to come through this. I have not been to Stone Hollow in 11 years. I will ride out in the middle of May and stay 2 nights. I will shake Caleb's hand. I will kiss your children. I will eat whatever you put on the table, and I will not say a word about the still, or the revenue men, or any other thing that might cost either of you 1 minute of the peace you are now earning. I will say only that you married the right man in 1879, that our family has been proud of both of you, and that the moonshining was a mistake of the kind a man can walk out of in this country, if he chooses, and Caleb has chosen. Tell him I will bring him a copy of the new McGuffey reader for Nathaniel, which I picked up at Cane Hill Academy last week, and a tin of the coffee Della likes from the Fayetteville grocer, and a jar of our mother's pickle relish recipe that our sister Susan made last fall from the recipe card, which Caleb always said was the best thing our kitchen ever turned out. Your older brother Ezra Whittaker. I have not written in 5 weeks because there has been, in the ordinary sense, nothing to report, and because writing a calm letter has felt like a luxury I did not deserve until the calm had held for a month. The calm has held. Caleb is up at 4 every morning. He is breaking the east field for corn, the field we have never broken before, because we have always depended on the still for the cash crop. He does not speak of the still. He does not look at the spring house. I took down the old door of the spring house last week and burned it, at his request, without a word between us. The children are well. Nathaniel has grown 1.5 inches this spring. Sarah Ann has learned to read See the Cat from the McGuffey primer and reads it aloud to every chicken in the yard. The rhododendrons on the north slope are beginning to bud. I will ride to Huntsville on the 29th to post the letter to Mr. Mitchum accepting the trial date of the 20th of September. Mr. Mitchum wrote that the charge will almost certainly be reduced to illegal distillation without license, first offense, no violence, which carries a fine of not more than $500 and a term of not more than 6 months, but which is often, for first offenders with no prior record, settled with the fine alone. The fine we will pay. The 6 months I will not let them take from us. I have been making soap candy and putting it up in wax paper and selling it at the Huntsville Saturday market. I have cleared $11 in 3 weeks. It is a small economy, but it is mine. I will write again next month. Your Edna May. The candy sounds lovely. Send me 2 pounds by the next Pettigrew wagon. I will sell it at the shop and send you the receipts. I charge you no commission. Also, please tell Caleb that our Uncle John Whitaker, who keeps the general store at West Fork, has written me that he will give Caleb a clerkship for the winter months at $9 a week if Caleb wishes it, starting the 1st of November and running through the 1st of April. Caleb need not take it. The offer is open. It is made by a man who knows Caleb and who believes in him and who is not asking him to be a different man. Love from Maddie, who has also begged me to tell you that she will be married in the October to the Methodist minister's son, and that she wishes you and Caleb to come to the wedding. Love, Della. My mama says I should write you a letter myself, and I am writing it at the kitchen table with a new nib Papa brought me from town. The pencil is hard to sharpen, so Mama is letting me use her pen and ink. Thank you for the money that brought Papa home. I kept the banknote raper the money came in. I have it in a cigar box under my bed with the arrowhead. Papa is working the east field every day. Papa sings when he plows. I did not know that before. Papa is good at singing. Sarah Ann is learning her letters. She can write her name on the slat. She wrote it on the barn door in chalk, and Mama did not scold because Mama said it was a beginning. I am going to buy a buckshot at the store in Huntsville with the Carter from the Kofi can, and I will put it in the Larning dine for the Schulsuppers in the fowl. I love you, Aunt Delu. I love Uncle Ezra. I love Cousin Matei. I miss you, Nathaniel Whitaker, age 8. The corn is up to my knee in the east field. Caleb is burnt dark brown. He has gained back 6 of the 9 pounds he lost in jail. He says to tell Uncle John he will take the clerkship. He will ride down to West Fork on the 28th of October. The trial is in 11 weeks. We have $84 saved toward the fine, which I have tucked into the bottom of the flour barrel in the pantry, where no revenue man would think to look, and where I will not tell even Caleb until the day we need it. A small, hard piece of news, sister. Caleb's brother Silas Whitaker, who was running his own Still Two Coves over on the Briar Creek side, was shot by a deputy marshal on the 14th of June. He will live. He took the ball in the left thigh and will limp. He is to be tried in the same September court with Caleb on a charge of resisting a federal officer, which is a harder charge. Caleb rode over to see Silas on the 20th. He came home quiet. He has not said what they spoke of. I am writing this so that when the trial comes in September, you will know that Caleb goes into it already grieving for a brother who took a different choice at the same fork. I will write when the trial date is confirmed. Your Edna May. I will come. I will close the shop for the week of the 15th through the 22nd of September. I will take the train to Fort Smith on the evening of the 16th. I will be in the main hotel lobby at 8 a.m. on the 17th. I will sit in the courtroom on the 20th. I will sit behind you. Do not turn around. Do not look at me. Look at the judge and look at your husband, and answer the questions the lawyer asks you in the voice our mother taught us, which is the voice that does not waver. I will pay Caleb's fine from the envelope I will be carrying, which will contain a further $200, which you will accept from me without argument, for the same reasons you accepted the bond money in March, and which Caleb may, if he must, work off across the next 5 years at the West Fork store at the rate he chooses. I am closing this letter. Write me the exact date and time. Love, Della. The trial is set for the 20th of September at 10:00 a.m. before Judge Isaac Parker in the second courtroom of the United States District Court at Fort Smith. Our lawyer is Mr. Elijah P. Struthers, who was appointed by the court and who has been writing to us civilly for 3 weeks. Mr. Struthers believes, having read the marshal's report, that the court will accept a plea of guilty to the reduced charge and will impose a fine of $300 and no jail time. We will have the $300. The candy sold well. I have $140 in the flour barrel. Combined with the 84 of June and the 63 I have put in between, we have 287. Bring 13, Della, and we will have 300 exactly, and we will not require your further 200 at all. Keep the 200 for the shop. The shop is a year overdue for its expansion. I will not have you postpone it a second year. Do not argue. I will see you at the main hotel at 8 on the 17th. I am clean out of words until then. Edna May. I could not sleep, and I did not want to knock and wake Caleb. I am putting this under your door instead. Tomorrow is the 20th. Tomorrow is the day. I want you to know 3 things before you sleep. The first is that I love you. The second is that our mother, if she were alive, would be proud of the way you have carried these 6 months. And I have not doubted for one day that our mother is watching. The third is that whatever the judge decides tomorrow, the family stands. We stood in 1874 when Papa was crushed by the wagon. We stood in 1881 when Mama went. We stood in 1888 when your baby Ruth went. We will stand tomorrow. No verdict in a federal courtroom changes what our family is. Sleep now. I will be in the lobby at 7. Della, you were there. You know what happened. But I want it in the letter record also, so that the children and my grandchildren and your grandchildren, should any of them one day open the cedar chest, may read it in my hand. Caleb pleaded guilty to the reduced charge. Mr. Struthers spoke for 11 minutes. Judge Parker spoke for 4. The fine was set at $300, paid at once from the envelope in my reticule. Caleb signed the paper at 11:15. We walked out of the courthouse at 11:22. Silas was tried in the afternoon. His sentence was 2 years, to be served at the federal penitentiary in Little Rock. Caleb embraced Silas in the corridor at 4 o'clock and rode home with me on the evening train. Silas will serve his 2 years. He will be out in September of 1894. Caleb has promised him and promised me and promised Mr. Struthers that when Silas comes home in 1894, there will be a place for him in the East Field, and a room built on the north side of the cabin, and a quiet way back. We will hold him to the promise. Thank you, Della, for everything. I am finally going to bed. Your sister Edna May. Caleb has been at Uncle John's store at West Fork 16 days. He came home for the Sunday, and he brought $9 wages in his pocket, and a small bolt of calico for Sarah Ann, and a pocket knife for Nathaniel, and a packet of needles for me. He will work the winter out. We will close the year with $30 a head, the fine paid, the bond money paid back to you and Ezra, and Silas's first visiting money laid aside. Nathaniel is at the Stone Hollow School. Sarah Ann is still too young. She is reading the McGuffey primer every afternoon in the kitchen. The corn crop ran 146 bushels, which at 40 cents is $58.40, a sum I did not know a field could yield. We will break the West Field in the spring. We are not rich, Della. We are the Whitakers of Stone Hollow. We are upright. I can write that in a letter for the first time in 11 years. Your Edna May. Mattie was married on the afternoon of the 20th of October to Mr. Augustus Teasdale, son of the Methodist minister of West Fork. The wedding was small. You and Caleb were sorely missed, but I understood why you could not travel. Mattie has asked me to tell you that she has named, in advance, the first son she and Gus may have after Caleb, in honor of what Caleb did this spring and summer, which Mattie says was the bravest thing an uncle of mine has ever done without a gun in his hand. Mattie is 19. Mattie does not say such things lightly. Tell Caleb, if you will. Love, Della. Caleb is home for 5 days. The house smells of the turkey Mr. Pettigrew shot for us, and of the pumpkin pies I put in at 6 this morning, and of the cedar garland Sarah Ann has hung along the mantel. The children are on the hearth rug with the pocket knife Caleb brought from West Fork. Caleb is at the table across from me reading the Fayetteville paper. I am writing this by daylight for the first time in a year. I am going to close the correspondence of the revenue year now, Della. I do not want to write another letter with the phrase "the revenue men" in it. I want our next letter to be about the shop expansion you are starting in February, and the calico dress I am going to make Sarah Ann for Easter, and the field Caleb will break on the west side. I will write that letter in February. Until then, I send you love from all of us, from Caleb, from Nathaniel, from Sarah Ann, from me. The Whitakers of Stone Hollow wish the Crofts of Fayetteville a blessed Thanksgiving and a quiet Advent. Your sister in every season, Edna May Whitaker, Mr. Orrin Pettigrew, the neighbor at the mouth of the hollow, who drove Edna May to Huntsville in the dark at 4 in the morning on the 22nd of March, and who kept the children at his cabin during Her 4-day absence continued to farm the adjoining 160 acres until his death in the winter of 1909. He is remembered in the Stone Hollow district as the man who drove Mrs. Whitaker to town the week the revenue men came, and his great-grandson Elvin Pettigrew still farms the same land. Deputy Marshal Jacob Herndon, who conducted the arrest civilly and who was described by Edna May in her letter of the 14th of March as civil, served as a federal deputy in the Western District of Arkansas for 19 more years. He retired in 1911 and died in Huntsville in 1924. Mr. Elijah P. Struthers, the court-appointed defense attorney, continued to practice at Fort Smith for 31 more years. He defended 214 stills cases between 1892 and 1923, of which he won 181 acquittals or reductions. He was buried in Oak Cemetery at Fort Smith in the spring of 1924. Judge Isaac Parker, the federal judge who sentenced Caleb, died in the November of 1896, 4 years after the trial. The second courtroom of the Fort Smith Federal Courthouse, where the trial was held, is now preserved as part of the Fort Smith National Historic Site, and the bench on which Della Croft sat behind her sister on the 20th of September 1892 is the third bench on the left as one enters. Descendants of the Whitaker family visit the bench every September, on or near the 20th, and place on it a small pressed sprig of the rhododendron that grows on the north slope above the cabin at Stone Hollow. The cabin still stands it is lived in. The east field is still planted in corn. Caleb Whitaker kept the word he gave his wife in the main hotel in Fort Smith on the night of the 24th of March, 1892. He did not run a still again. He worked the winter clerkship at his uncle John Whitaker's store at West Fork through the spring of 1893, and again through the winter of 1893 to 1894. And in the April of 1894, he returned full-time to the farm at Stone Hollow. His brother Silas Whitaker was released from the Little Rock Federal Penitentiary on the 14th of September, 1894, and came to the farm, and was given the north side room, and worked the east field with Caleb for the balance of his life. Silas did not marry. He died in the winter of 1911 of pneumonia, at the age of 49, and is buried in the Stone Hollow family plot beside his mother. Caleb Whitaker died in the June of 1923, at the age of 69, of a heart attack suffered in the West Field during the oat harvest. Edna May Whitaker died 4 months later, on the 14th of October 1923, at the age of 65 of what the family called a broken heart of the ordinary kind. She is buried beside Caleb. Nathaniel Whitaker, their son, grew up to become the postmaster at West Fork and served in that office for 37 years. Sarah Ann Whitaker, their daughter, grew up to become the school teacher at Stone Hollow for 41 years, and to marry a man named Thomas Lee Garver, a farmer, and to have 6 children, the eldest of whom she named Della Mae Garver after her aunt in Fayetteville. Mrs. Della Whitaker Croft outlived her sister Edna May by 11 years. She expanded her Fayetteville millinery shop in the February of 1893 as planned. She sold it in the spring of 1930. She died in the spring of 1934 at the age of 81. She kept the bundle of letters labeled the revenue year in the top drawer of her bedside stand for 42 years. She is buried in Evergreen Cemetery in Fayetteville. On her stone is inscribed, at her request, the single line, "Sister to Edna May." The family stands. The letters are now in the Special Collections Library at the University of Arkansas. They are read aloud every April. They are listened to now by the children of the people they were first written for. The family, as Della wrote on the night before the trial in 1892, stands.